The passing of the decades saw the emergence of the flapper girl, Hollywood starlets, flower children, feminine liberators, disco queens, and female pop stars. Makeup styles were heavily influenced by the atmosphere in America at that particular time. Whether it be on our home soil or abroad, current events affected the culture in America, and the styles changed because the culture in America was constantly changing. I'm going to show you exactly how women wore their makeup during each decade, while explaining what events or people impacted the styles. The 1920s. I'm starting with a decade in which makeup really blossomed. The 1920s saw the emergence of a cultural rebellion in women's fashion. After many years of being told how to act, what to wear, and how to look, women were retaliating. Before this, makeup was deemed inappropriate. New products emerged and makeup was now more mainstream and affordable. The post-war boom was a major reason for the 1920s prosperity. The number of millionaires in 1929 was 35,000 people. The prosperity led to an increase in manufacturing. The manufacturing boom, as well as new interest in makeup, led to a whole selection of products and brands. The amount of affordable makeup on the market led to an increase in the amount of makeup an average woman owned and used on a daily basis. The emergence of the flapper girl was the most significant influence on makeup styles of the time. Flappers were a generation of young Western women in the 1920s who wore short skirts, bobbed their hair, and listened to jazz. By doing these seemingly inappropriate things, they flaunted their disdain for what was then considered unacceptable behavior. They preferred a pale complexion. The classic eyeshadow was heavy, dark, and smoky. They wore rouge on the apples of the cheeks, and the signature red lipstick had an exaggerated cupid's bow.
When we're out together dancing cheek to cheek.
The 1930s. Although heavy makeup was still in style during this decade, the 1930s saw its fair share of hardships. The Wall Street crash was the largest stock market crash in American history, and it took a toll on the 1930s. Most of the decade was consumed by an economic downfall called the Great Depression. The Wall Street crash, along with other factors, made the economic depression unbearable for some people. It had a traumatic effect worldwide, leading to widespread unemployment and poverty. The unemployment rate in America in 1933 was 25%. The women of this decade still wore makeup if they could. Thick foundation to create flawless skin was in trend. They preferred thin eyebrows with an exaggerated arch, as well as powdered blush and browns on the lips. Although some women could still afford to wear makeup, most could not due to the economic plight of the country. This led to a blow in the cosmetic industry.
But it doesn't thrill me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek.
The 1940s. This decade started out with most of Europe at war, and with other nations soon joining in the fight. The number of Americans who served in World War II was 16.1 million people. Wartime restrictions gradually impacted everyday life, and cosmetics were no exception. Shortages in fats and oils meant that certain products could not be made. Even packaging was affected because they were made out of metal and plastic, which were needed for the war effort. The women of this age opted for a more natural complexion. Women used sparse amounts of foundation, much different than the 1930s when they would layer on thick foundation. They used light pink on the cheeks and continued to wear red lipstick. Eyeliner and mascara were only used in small amounts to bring out the natural beauty of the eyes. The women started to revert to the way they wore makeup in the 1900s for the same reason they did not wear makeup in that era. They had to take factory jobs for the men. This, along with the shortages of product availability, influenced the makeup world the most during this decade.
Do you feel the breeze from the subway? Isn't it delicious?
The 1950s. The 1950s was a time of growth and prosperity. The American economy blossomed and grew. Women had more spending money available, and the end of rationing paved the way for new products. New colors of makeup appeared, and the luxury cosmetic market grew. The advent of color cinema played a huge role in makeup trends because the movie stars of this time were the biggest influences on women's style. Beauty was defined by actresses such as Doris Day, Audrey Hepburn, and Marilyn Monroe. The average woman may not have had such an adventurous lifestyle as portrayed by the leading ladies in films, but they could emulate how the stars looked. Women began to copy the styles of the movie stars. Heavy caked-on foundation was brought back, as well as layers of mascara and smoky eyeshadow. Red lipstick was still in trend. The new economic prosperity coupled with cinema starlets were the biggest influences of makeup trends during this decade. The 1960s. Although many women boycotted makeup during the 1960s, women like Twiggy, a cultural icon, influenced women with some iconic styles. Makeup looks were at both ends of the scale, from the all-natural look of the hippies to the dramatic black and white eyes of fashion icons. The term flower child was born during this decade. Flower child originated as a synonym for hippie, especially among the idealistic young people. It was the custom of flower children to wear and distribute flowers or floral-themed decorations to symbolize ideals of universal belonging, peace, and love. Flower children were also associated with the flower power political movement of the time. 1960s high fashion makeup became all about the eyes. The rest of the face was kept more soft and natural. False eyelashes were incredibly popular. Pastel colors were trendy. For the lips, corals, pinks, and peaches were the fashionable colors. They enjoyed layers and layers of mascara, the same as the 1950s.
Good time music. Good time music.
The 1970s. The 1970s was a decade of great political, economic, social, and technological change worldwide. The political and economic liberty of women advanced greatly during this decade. There were women's liberation groups and feminists worldwide demanding changes for women at work, in the home, and in all aspects of life. Inequality in the workplace was standard, where women were paid less than their male counterparts and often had to endure harassment. It wasn't easy for women to work in trade jobs such as electricians, plumbers, or carpenters, and very few did during this time. Despite the scales of inequality being unbalanced, change did happen. Women were achieving successes. Women all over the world achieved all types of firsts in sports, politics, and jobs. This played a direct role on the makeup world. The makeup trends included a lot of makeup for some women, as well as very little makeup for others. They often used tinted moisturizer because natural finishes were back in style. Clear lip gloss was popular, and eyeshadows were metallic, glitter, and pearlescent finishes. Disco was the reason for the sparkle and color.
Let me hear some of that good time music.
The 1980s. The 1980s was a time of neon colors, shoulder pads, leg warmers, and big hair. MTV was the biggest influence on fashion during this decade. Launched on August 1st, 1981, the channel originally aired music videos. At this time, MTV's main target demographic was young adults. MTV's influence on its young adult audience was incredible. Another style influence at this time was Madonna. Madonna could attribute her rise to fame to MTV. She achieved popularity by pushing the boundaries of lyrical content in mainstream popular music and imagery in her music videos, which became a fixture on MTV. She has influenced young adults across America with her signature wild and neon style. Young boys and girls tried to emulate the way she looked. Concealer and foundation were brought back in style. Blush was popular in striking pink and orange hues. Colorful neon eyeshadow was huge, as well as bright pink fuchsia lipstick. Through the decades in history, trends were constantly changing, and makeup was no exception. The impact of cultural events and people vastly influenced trends. The makeup industry blossomed in the 1920s and continued to get better. The cosmetic companies took advantage of specific cultural events while marketing and advertising to certain groups that would be inclined to buy makeup at that particular time. The influences went from world events to upcoming popular culture icons. Although there has been much changing of makeup styles and trends through the decades, there is one thing that has never changed: the beauty of the young and old alike. Confidence in one own skin will never go out of style.